having now come to the end of the series of videos, and maybe you've read one or both of my books. The second book, Skiing from Greens to Reds and Beyond, was written specifically to accompany the video series, and it gives you some additional information. What I'd like to do for you now is just highlight for you what aspect of skiing all of this series has to do with, and that is skiing at slow speeds. What I've been concerned to do is to introduce you to new ways of looking at old things. I've changed the wording because ski school instructors all over the world put wrong ideas into your head through the words they use. They know they can ski, but for some reason it doesn't seem to translate into anything particularly useful for most people. And the reason I say this, as I think I mentioned before, the reason I say this is because if you look at any ski slope with an awful lot of skiers on it, there will be very few good ones. And yet ski schools have been teaching skiing for 70 years or more. So it's obviously not a system that's working terribly well, and my mission has been to try and nudge things along in a slightly different way. It's a generalization because of course there are exceptions, but by and large I think it's true to say they've not worked terribly well. So what I've done is to approach the whole topic from a different direction, with the specific intention of providing you with a set of tools for both your mind and your body that will enable you to develop your own awareness and the ability to feel what's happening along inside an envelope of understanding, and with a set of specific movements you can make whilst in motion that will get your skis to do what you want them to do. The key to this, though, is that this is a very inputty way of skiing. This is only really applicable at slower speeds. It's absolutely essential to get it embedded, to become good at these, to get all of these movements autonomic, so that in the end you don't have to think about them, because when you start skiing faster you won't have time to think about them. But at the moment, what this series is addressing is working things out first in your mind, making up your mind what it is you're going to do, and then developing the ability to do it skillfully. That's what this is about. So it's really quite inputty. And what happens when you start skiing faster is that you haven't got time to think. That's why you need to embed these things. You've got to burn in these neural pathways very, very solidly and deeply, so that your movements they're not instinctive, but they're automatic. So that when you start moving faster and you start playing with the interface between your ski and the resistance from the snow, your responses to those inputs are automatic. They have to be at higher speeds because you don't have time anymore to think about them beforehand. You can plan before you go, before you set off from the top of the slope. You can certainly plan, and you should. You should make your mind up. This is the kind of skiing I'm going to do. These are the kind of movements that I'm going to need. I'm ready for that. Let's go, get skiing and do it. So that then becomes what I call more outputty. You're aiming less for what you input to the system and more to what you get out of the system, out of your skiing, rather than what you put into your skiing. That's why it's important to have all of this stuff very securely embedded. And that's it. Perhaps just mention I'm being asked by an international audience, would you believe, to write a third book about these higher level skiing issues, not necessarily higher level, faster level if you like, skiing issues, but I've got a horrible feeling it would only end up about 30 pages long and would never be economically viable. Anyway, so for the time being, just get really good at this stuff and then you can write your own book. Good luck to you. Enjoy your skiing.